Hey guys, I'm here today again behind the camera. Another sweet look into my nose. I'm here today with MTTM. We have Jean and Aaron today. They are a post-punk dark wave band here from Berlin, originally from Brazil, but you've been based in Berlin for 2 years now.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah, how are you guys doing?
Perfect. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
Lovely
super
to
nice.
have you. Well, I mean, we've worked together before. We've known each other for a good while. Aaron, I've known for 5 years now,
Wow.
which is pretty crazy. Jean, we've known each other for like a year and a half or two.
Year and a half, yeah. It's
I know a little bit of the story of the band so far, but would you like to give us, the short version of how you guys started, how you ended up here in Berlin, and where things are at the moment?
Yeah, sure. MTTM is a band that actually started in Brazil. We are all from Florianópolis in Brazil, in the south of the country. And we had the band since 2008, actually. And the band started with me and Alex. Alex is not here today, but he's our vocalist. And we started the band back then amongst the hype scene of the electro boom. So all the electro clash boom in the world, the New Yorker, and of course the European electro clash, they arrived in Brazil and it was a big thing. And we wanted to be in that scene. But even though we were both DJs by then, we didn't want to do just DJing, just playing other people's music. Said, okay, so maybe we should do our own music. But then we both have this background of band and stuff. And then we just decided to start a live band. So actually we wanted to be like an electro band. Mm-hmm. And then we introduced other instruments. So we ended up being like an electro rock band, I guess you could say. But then we had our first album in 2008, second EP in 2010. And after that, then Alex needed to move cities and the band kind of died because I stayed in the island and he went to Sao Paulo. But after that, he even moved to London for a great while. And after 10 years, there was a huge coincidence that we came to Berlin and we met again here.
You guys moved like within the same week. Right?
Yeah, that was a crazy story because we had we never planned, like we never wanted to end the band. Mm-hmm. It was always in our hearts and in our skin. So we have tattoos about the band, like together, and we are super friends since ever. But at a point, I knew I wanted to come to Berlin. And I was actually in the process of moving from Brazil to here. And then when I logged in, I actually traveled because of my daytime job. Mm-hmm. So when I logged one job here in Berlin, I called him to say, hey, man, it's actually happening. I'm going to go to Berlin. And since you're in London, maybe we can work something out, since it's not that far away. And I said, man, we won't need to think about that because guess what? I'm going to Berlin too. And what ended up happening is like we moved to Berlin just by a coincidence within the same week. So we came 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years and a half now ago. And he arrived, I don't know, like 20th June. And I arrived like 25 of June or something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. And then you guys started writing again?
So immediately. So as soon as we were in Berlin and we had like the first opportunity, we went to a bar just to have some drinks and catch up on the friendship. But of course the band, the music always speaks louder, and we just decided that we wanted to do. And I guess like 2 days later we were in my apartment already working on some stuff. That was 2 years ago. So we've been working, I guess we worked around 6 months in the compositions. Then we made a strategic stop to go back to doing classes, buying instruments in Germany because we didn't bring anything, and all these things, and putting together some basic structure. Mm-hmm. And then we start recording demos and all. And now it's finally coming all together, just getting ready to release this 2 years of work.
Oh, and then there was a lineup extension as well in the meantime with
because of you, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, it was a nice coincidence that you were looking for someone, and it was kind of like, dude, this is perfect because
Yeah, that was
they matched the vibe.
also one more coincidence that's just happened
Yeah.
it just happens that Aaron is also Brazilian.
Yeah.
So also you know, so it's just
weird.
one big
All this constellation.
yeah,
behind
one,
everything.
it's just one big confluence of energies. I don't know how,
Yeah,
why,
it's great.
but it just happened this way.
And now we're
was
here
amazing,
about
yeah.
to launch our album, but then actually we were talking yesterday about this like 1 year throwback. You know, so it's been
Things
lots
change
of,
so fast.
Yeah, because it actually, I think probably almost to the date, and we can check this later, but I came back from the US end of August last year, or beginning of August last year, and it was like around like August, September that we started hanging out again because I was back, and then I introduced you guys.
True, yeah.
So like we could be sitting on a pretty
exactly.
big coincidence yet again.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, actually, it is incredible. Like, every time I think back on our history, it's full of these things, full of coincidence or things we didn't expect to happen. It's just moving the band forward. It's a little bit out of our hands, you know. Just sometimes things just happen,
Yeah.
and I guess some people say it's meant to be. So
Well, I mean, I
I like to
sure it
believe
is.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so to be nothing is by chance. That's the thing I like
Yeah.
to believe. And actually, the timing also was perfect because before I was involved in other projects, and now
Yeah.
we are pushing forward, really focus on
Yeah,
making it work.
I remember that the whole story was about. So we were talking to you. Actually, our connection happened because of daytime jobs.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, like, you had a studio. It was super close to where I used to work. We connected, and I remember just saying, we always wanted to have like a drummer because it adds so much to the live show.
Yes.
So as I was saying, like, we wanted to be like a electro rock band, and we don't want to be seen as DJs or just guys playing a laptop, you know. So, and then we always want to have, and I guess we just commented out of nowhere, just say, oh, yeah, maybe one day, you never know. And then you said, well, I have a friend that just likes everything you guys like and have all the same references. It plays the drum, and he's here, by the way, he's Brazilian, and I can introduce you. And then we went that day to that pub, and that's how things happen. Yeah, it was kind of quick.
That was the beginning of the end.
Maybe the end of the beginning.
End of the beginning.
End of the
exactly.
beginning, yeah, that's better.
Yeah, so, or the beginning of a new beginning.
Yeah. Well, going back to something that Aaron just touched on very briefly, but you guys are working on a full album at the moment. I know there's actually a compounded question with two questions. One is, how's the process going? What are the steps? What can people expect as far as like release dates? And then that kind of ties in with the second question, which is, I know that you guys went with a very different strategy than what's preached nowadays for the industry. I was wondering if you could illustrate a little bit of what you guys did and what was your approach to, well, this new beginning.
Yeah. Okay, so I think so since then, I mean, like 2008 when we had a band, we were like a 20-year-old friend, like a little, just two friends in a room trying to make dance tracks for the dance floor as a band. Now that we are older, 35, 38, we are actually, so the sound evolved with us. So now everything is sounding more like, it has more guitars in a way, but it sounds more post-punk and sound more Depeche Mode style, It's like we always had this huge influence of the 80s music, and that continues on. I guess sonically it is like still dancey and all, but with a lot more guitars. I think we look more like a band than ever, especially with Aaron playing the drums. So I guess sonically that's how it sounds. Now we just recently got signed into a label, which is Retro Reverb Records. It's quite fresh. It's been just some weeks that we've been planning everything, And yeah, so we decided to come with a full album. So we were releasing 8 tracks as an album, which is unusual nowadays, but I guess it's still the references that we have from the bands we like. And we have nice examples of bands that do care about albums. Like I think the biggest one I can say right now is like Moshat Doma, because Moshat Doma is like one of the biggest bands coming out of the cold wave scene. They only have albums. I mean, they have a couple of singles, but they focus on albums. So they have their 4th album now, and they're all like 8, 12 songs.
It's kind of like what it used to be, where you make a whole album and there's one single out of it, not just singles, and then...
Yeah, because I still think there's an artistic side to an album, which is important, like a concept, and also our album has a very tied up concept around it, and I think that can be very interesting. It does not need to happen that way. I think just everybody's so focused, like digital marketing just became such a big part of the game that sometimes it's even more important than the quality of sound. And I guess people are just focusing on, so we need to make it work with the market. We need to make it work. We need to reach audience. We need to compete with the other bands and all these things, which is totally valid. I understand. So we are in that game as well, whether we like it or not. But at the same time, we live in an era where you can make whatever record you want with the equipments you have home, sort of quality way. So if we have all the options, why we should just focus on this side? Let's just focus. If we can compose 8 and have an album, why not? I mean, of course, it's more expensive because everything is times 8. Studio times 8, mixing is times 8, mastering is times 8. So all that counts. Yeah. But at the same time, we also are kind of starting again, and we need to have a concert. So we need at least 8 songs just to play live. There's also that other side. But I guess that's what we are doing. So with Retro Reverb, what we want to do is actually we're going to release the full album, but do what people call a waterfall release. So we're going to have the first song, which is going to be The Flow. It's going to come in November. Then we have a new song in December, another one in January, and then in February comes the whole album. So you'll be able to access or social media and Spotify and all, and just see one whole album. But we are gonna release slowly with one song at a time, just because the marketing works better than is what I said. So we are in that game, and we need to check and follow whatever works best for the audience out there. Sweet.
And well, that was one thing that I was gonna mention as well, which is the deal that you guys just signed, as you said, really fresh. You guys also took a very interesting approach to getting to that deal and approaching record labels. That's somewhat unusual. Would you like to give that hint to anyone listening?
Sure. So when it comes, I guess, to the background structure of the band or how we operate, I think we like to be very professional. We would like to be seen as professional, like it's not just a garage band. Actually, we don't have that luxury anymore. So we are 35s, 38s, It would be kind of a shame if we did it just like that. Let's just do whatever it's there. So we tend to be more organized and strategic on the things we do. Also because we don't have as much time or that much money to put into this thing. So we need to be very smart on how we do things. But we had this idea. So what we did is we pretty much organized and we made a list of over 100 labels that were interesting for the kind of sound. And we actually mailed this over the course of 5 weeks. So of course the labels have time to answer to us because all the labels are super busy anyway. So throughout 5 weeks, we kept mailing these labels, of course, organized with a professional branding. We had or EPK, and
proper research, right? Proper research.
Proper research. We're not
proper tools.
Yeah, so it's not sending
Exactly. Yeah.
just to any label, because that's not even good. So maybe one like a very nice big label wants you, but it's not your sound, or you're not going to be in the company of other bands that sounds like you. Because in the end of the day, label is not anymore so much as about the distribution, since you can just open an account, I don't know, in CD Baby or in DistroKid, just go there and release the stuff yourself. It's not much about that. I think it's mostly about community and audience. So they need to have the right community and the right audience for your sound. I think that's still the biggest advantage. It is marketing at the end of the day. So that's what he did. So we just mailed and waited for the answer. We had quite a few answers, and we went throughout them, studied the propositions of all. And in the end, Retroverb was a very, very cool. So Cole, which is our contact there, super accessible guy, and he was super kind to us, very flexible with the contracts and all. So we had a say in the contract, which is not true for most bands. Like most labels just say, here it is, the paper, either you sign it or not. And you had a few requests, and he was kind enough to listen to us, make modifications to the contract. And in the end, we felt comfortable enough to give them our rights, basically.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well,
That's it.
kind of ties up with because the whole rights thing and signing contracts can be very messy.
Yeah.
Steering away from that kind of messy, but sticking to the messy theme. One thing that I've been kind of bringing out over these interviews are some like somewhat funny, lighthearted horror stories. Could be gig related or not, like whatever comes to mind, but something that maybe happened to you that at the time sucked, but now looking back, you're like, ha,
No.
We're talking
You
about
can
this
have a laugh
almost
at.
of the day, because those guys have already like a legacy, so he can.
Yeah,
share
so
this
we have
data.
more concern. Yeah, so for right now, since we started the band, we only structure our live concerts since July, and since then we only had 2 concerts. So I don't know if Aaron, you want to add something, like maybe from your.
I have to think about it, but I'm sure you have the tip of your.
Yeah, so yeah, I think this is the most common things. Like there's a lot of horror stories in every band path. There's quite a few. I don't even know. There's I think one of the most nightmarish things that can happen to a band is like a contractor hires you maybe for a good amount of money, but does not have the right audience for you. So they ended up just putting you in a situation where nobody's really understanding what you're doing because they're not the right people. Maybe they were expecting something else, just different kinds of tribes and different kinds of genres and different kinds of people expecting different things from a concert. And then suddenly like, maybe we were super dancing, I don't know, at like a family thing that it's, when it does not fit. So that happened to us in Brazil quite a couple of times that before we had the experience enough to say, hey, are you sure? Let me investigate this event. Have you done events before? Because when you're young, you just want to play, and there's a guy and say, hey, come play at my party. You want to go.
Yeah.
But as maturity comes, and that involves taking a lot of punches until you get used to, hey, okay, I'm just gonna check this first, and then I think you learn with those, and then you investigate a little bit, and you're not so ready to say yes.
Yeah.
Up front,
Well, saying no is a very important part of the business as well, right? Just like knowing what not to do is as important as knowing what to do, right?
Yeah, well, I guess like every time you choose something, you're basically renouncing something else. And sometimes what you renounce is more important than what you're actually choosing. So maybe sometimes a good question if you want to make a decision is, what am I not choosing? By choosing this other thing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think this is important, like in every decision making that you do, and especially for bands.
That's a good advice for life, also. Not only for bands.
Yeah. Well, I guess, that is important. Like everything you want to do, you need to think about what you're not doing, or when people say something, you also need to pay attention to what's not being said.
Yeah.
Particularly, like for example, with contractors and maybe other labels, or maybe like any contracts or sort of things. I have a very nightmarish story to tell. So this one just came to mind now about contracts. So back in 2009, we signed a contract with a guy. He was a very famous booker in Brazil, and he had other. His roster was all based on live electronic music. So we were a perfect fit for what he was doing. But he had like big names. Like by that time, they were, for example, the official the official bookers for Booker Shade, the very famous live here from Germany. And anywhere that, like, if you want to contract a Booker Shade in Latin America in 2010, you need to go through this guy. And we were very impressed because he was very interested in us and made a lot of promises. So we went, he brought us to Sao Paulo, put us in a very big club to play in front of a very important audience. Took us to 5-star hotels, like just riding with the city with a driver, going to fancy restaurants, VIP entrances and the best parties in the city. And we did all that. But in the end, it was a very horrible story because that kind of ended an era for us. Because in the end, he signed us up under the premise that he would book us different concerts. And we were very happy with that possibility. But in the end, he threw us in the fridge, you know. So what happened is just he had the rights. We cannot book anything for ourselves, but he was not actually booking anything for us. So right at our most like the peak of interest in our band, we thought we were going a step further, and actually that set us back like at least for 8 months that we didn't play and anything. And then in the end, it was kind of a hassle to get out of that contract as well. But we could do it. So.
Well, thankfully you guys did.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, that was horrible. That's kind of kill our mood more than like set us back in time. 8 months is like kills your mood, you know. You just feel like, oh man, why?
Just want to switch names and do something.
Yeah, you know, it's just it's already hard enough to try to have a band and put everything together, and then you have this kind of guy.
Well, watch out for big contracts, everyone. I've heard of that sort of stuff happening with labels as well, in like some big names having contracts that tie them up, and then it's like you can't release anything if it's not with us for X amount of time, and then like people are just locked in and you can't really do anything.
Yeah. Well, especially with bookers. Mm-hmm. So, and it's always you need to have a way out of a contract. So you need to be very aware that there's a clause that says explicitly say. If a booker does not do a show for you within 6 months, you have the right to book your own shows without paying them anything, you know. Mm-hmm. So because at the end, our contract was so shit that if we book the concert ourselves, we still need to pay him. Okay. So
crazy.
Because it was full rights, so had full rights. So any money coming from live events, he would be entitled to 20%. And that was a horrible deal. By then we didn't know, we were too young. But nowadays we are aware. So I guess for any other bands out there, they're willing to sign any piece of paper, get advice first, you know, just research, take your time. There's a bunch of information on the internet nowadays. You can go to YouTube. And there's like music lawyers on YouTube giving advice.
Instagram.
Like
they compete.
Yeah.
Like even if you just get a lawyer to check the contract, like, I don't know, pay the lawyer fee $200-$300. It's a lot of money, but the money that you might save out of just knowing
money
that you're going
and time
into
and energy and wheel of life, you know. It's just don't do it, you know. Just don't do it blindly. I know you're eager to sign and push it forward, but you need to ask yourself, is it really pushing forward? Because it can very easily be pushing you back. I'm not here to say don't do this kind of deals. I just say
be aware.
Try to know what you're doing. Yeah. You know, just get as much information as possible before. And it's all right. Maybe you're going to take you more 6 months to learn something. Worth it. Because you're going to know for the rest of your life. And then you'll never fall into this kind of trap. Just learn with the old guys here.
Exactly.
This kind of
listen
thing.
To him. And jot it down and listen to him.
That's some amazing advice, guys. So in the topic of you guys having a new drummer and doing this whole preparation for the live act that you guys started in June, how is that going? Because I know there's some adaptation to, playing all together, and how's the feeling? How are the shows? How are you guys dealing with all that?
Yeah, for me it was quite new for me because I think the first really time I had with real electronic drums, let's say, because so far I've been just playing with acoustic and sometimes just playing around with for recording. But it was, it's a different world. It needs a little bit more preparation. You have also to develop your technical parts, I would say, because everything has to be synced up and we have to be really focused on the click and also the dynamics around the drums are different. But it's been very fun. I'm enjoying it a lot, also learning from them. Yeah, given the baggage they already shared with us here. So I'm looking forward for more gigs. And the good thing is that even though it's electronic drum, a Roland we are using, we can set different sizes, different specs. So we can either go to a smaller pub or the big concerts, and we can adapt the drums for that.
Yeah, you guys build out a really, really cool system that's fairly modular, that basically accommodates anywhere you want to play, front of house included or not.
Yeah, well, it's I think there's always this nightmare stuff that can happen to bands, and I guess we had our share of technical problems because every band has it. Have a problem, like there's always a sound, there's always a feedback, there's always something going on. When you put together like backing tracks and all this electronic stuff and synthesizers, they all need to change patches and stuff while you're playing guitar, and all the modularity, the drums, and each song has their own kit with different sounds and everything. There's a lot that can go wrong. So we built a system that is built around redundancy and reliability, which is annoying because it's big, it's a lot of racks and stuff, but in the end, that also solves a lot of problems. So, for example, all the band uses in-ears that are self-controlled by the members in the band. So, because, when you use in-ears, you don't want like somebody that you don't know mixing your sound, because it just can drive you deaf immediately. Yeah. And you can just do something wrong. So, and in order to stay consistent from concert to concert, then we started playing with in-ears. I don't know, have you played with in-ears before?
No, not in-ears. No.
How do you? No. Is it okay?
It was just like at the will, just playing without clicks
like
on live. Yeah, because true rock and roll, just doing that.
Nowadays, do you still
nowadays, nowadays, so we're doing with in-ears. So it's.
But now that you're done. Are you happy with it, or
no, definitely,
Is it better or is it worse?
It is way better.
It's better.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because if you as we do things really consistent and with the structure, it's way better. I think it gives you also a peace of mind to really feel the music.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only downside to that is that when you use in-ears, you get isolated, so you don't hear like the audience as much or these things. So, but I mean, the gain for us, so we can put up a good show for everyone, compensates this.
Yeah, for sure. So. Yeah, I mean, there's always it depends on what you're playing, and the kind of music that you guys play kind of call for that sort of precision in a way, and and just the quality of sound, and having all of those things set up ahead of time just makes a world of a difference.
So, especially with a live drummer.
Yeah, for sure. Which is kind of cool. It kind of circles back to what we were talking earlier with like the approach you guys took to not only releasing these songs, but also reaching out to labels. And it's all about preparation ahead of time, making sure you have all your bases covered.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of hit the ground running, which is awesome.
Yeah,
yeah, true.
We had lots of planning preparation, so we also carefully decided for the drums, for the equipments, for the gears, for everything.
And you guys have a pretty cool background as well, like personally, because Jean is like an audio guy, and then Aaron is a marketing guy, and Alex is a
He's an
market
intelligent-
research guy. Like
Yeah.
it's all.
It's a singer guy.
Well, that is there's many things. So I guess everybody that has a band can tell. Like having a band is like having it is like it's like for us like a three-way marriage. So it's hard. It's a complex relationship. Like we are all friends and we are all happy with the band, but it can get intense sometimes. This is the bad part. Now, the positive part where people should focus is that three people that can work together and do way more than you could do alone. Yeah. So we can share all the costs, we can share all the load of the equipment, and we can share definitely our expertises. Yeah. So I come from an audio engineering side. I put together all the technical aspects of the band, what we're going to use, the microphones, in-ears, mixing, and all this part. But then Aaron works on his day job with marketing, like with social media marketing, which is a huge advantage for us.
Oh yeah.
So we try to structure, give it a nice look, nice feel, come up with ideas of content and what we want to put out, because we just don't want to go there and put just singing in a microphone, So how can we make this interesting for everyone and really show what goes behind the curtain for bands? And then Alex is from marketing intelligence, so he works in business intelligence with research. So, for example, are the songs that we're doing good? So is our product good? Sort of like a company would think is what we're doing any good? How do we find out? So he put together some research. We did some polls with friends. I think we even sent you some stuff. So even to decide like the order of the album, we asked for advice. So there are order of the songs in the album. I mean, it is an advantage, and he has like a really good understanding of market. So even though I don't think this needs to be the main point, of course, it's still a big deal.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I really believe that people should do bands and music because they like music and bands. However, does not mean you don't want to do all you can, all it's under your power to make it go further and have a bigger audience. Whether it goes from 5 to 10 or from 1,000 to 10,000, So of course you want to be heard. It's art, right? It's only complete when there's an audience to it. And I'm sorry, I touched my phone.
Okay.
And but I mean, and then on that part, after I'm happy doing music, how do you reach that audience? So I guess that's the part where all this we can
you guys complete each other.
Well, we definitely use more things, so we always need to wear multiple hats, So I am an audio engineer now. And then now suddenly I am a copywriter because I need to write a text, or now I need to be a video editor because somebody needs to put that thing together. And then we are out exchanging these hats all the time, but it's certainly a good mix of knowledge in the band.
That's amazing.
One of the best advices, follow us there on Instagram, TikTok, and see everything behind the scenes, everything we're doing there.
You see, that's why we need them. We need someone that sells the band.
The marketeer right there.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. Well, thanks for coming today. I'll link all your links below. I believe the handle is We Are MTTM, right?
Yes. In all our handles in all platforms is at We Are MTTM.
Sweet. Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Fabio.
I'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
Have a good one.